Hello and welcome to my beginner's guide to Lostland Raiders. In this video, I will hope to inform you of everything you need to know to get started playing this new and incredibly fun Dota 2 custom game. Before we get started, however, I'd like to mention that I'm sure a lot of you watching right now are not even familiar with Dota 2 custom games at all, likely because my channel is largely focused around Escape from Tarkov content. However, I am happy to announce that Dota 2 itself is a free game on Steam. And all of the custom games within it are also completely free and easy to install. All occurring within the game client itself, no extra work needs to be done on your part to get this game started. Also, you need basically zero knowledge of what Dota 2 even is in order to have fun playing this game, so there really is no excuse to not trying it out, especially if this looks like it could be fun to you. So what is Lostland Raiders? Well, to put it simply, this game is a multiplayer tower defense game with increasing levels of difficulty. It's really interesting for this genre. The idea is actually to work together with your team of up to 3 other players, helping each other out in several different ways to get through all the waves of enemies and kill the boss at the end. Very quickly, before we begin discussing the basics of the game, in case you are completely new to Dota 2 and Dota custom games in general, I will give you a brief explanation of how to find the game, install it, and start playing. Okay, so once you open Dota, it's very simple. You're just going to go to the top of your screen and you're going to hit the arcade button. This is where all the custom games are. So once you're in the arcade, you're probably going to be met with this screen where it shows you these games sorted by the number of open lobbies. What you're actually going to want to do is go to Browse. At Browse, you can sort it by most popular. This will show you the games sorted by the actual number of people who play them. And Lostland Raiders is going to likely be at the front page of this list because it isn't the most popular, but it's like 5th or 6th most popular right now. So that's pretty good. It's got 1,100 people playing right now. That's pretty good for a fairly new game. And then you're gonna see an install button right about here. I'm pretty sure it is. Mine's already installed, obviously. Once it's installed, which will take like 2 seconds, honestly, it's really quick to install. You can hit the play button down here and you're ready to go. This will throw you into a random lobby where it could be any server around the world. If you care about your connectivity to the server, the latency or the lag you might feel, you could create your own lobby and you could pick your server. This will open up a new lobby at your server, so you'll have to wait for 3 other people to start playing, which does not take very long, probably about like 30 seconds on average. In my opinion, I don't do that because the latency for this game mode doesn't really matter. So I just usually hit play. Some other games I will always make sure to pick my own server, but for this game, it's a tower defense game, doesn't really matter. You can just hit play and you'll get into a game as soon as possible. And that's all you gotta do, so yeah. So now let's talk about the basic flow of the game and have a look at the UI and discuss all the important details. Before the game actually begins, you will be met with this screen, which allows you to choose your difficulty level. Higher difficulty levels are unlocked after you successfully complete a game on your current highest allowed difficulty level, and the entire game will be scaled down to whoever chooses the lowest difficulty level. So don't worry if you queue into a game with high-level players. They will probably be happy to crush an easy game with you, and they will also receive some benefits for doing so. Feel free to ask questions and ask for advice. I've had plenty of friendly and helpful interactions with players who know more than I do. Also, don't be surprised to see a player who really only wants to play a high difficulty leveled game just leave if they would prefer to not play an easy game. This ultimately does not matter. The game will not spawn enemies in their lane if they are disconnected. So now that we are in game, let's discuss the basics and take a look at the UI. The overall idea of the game is to stop enemies from escaping throughout the map and raising the death meter at the top of your screen. If this meter gets all the way over to the right, a 10-second timer will begin counting down, at which point, if you do not bring it back down, the game will end. So whatever the total number is that will begin the timer, this number is not actually cumulative throughout the whole game. It is constantly fluctuating, and as long as you are killing more units than are escaping, this number will keep going down. So even if it gets all the way to the top, before the timer runs out, if you bring it back down, you'll be okay. So in order to stop enemies, you need to place units on your side of the board to kill them. Units will be spawned in by giving you a random selection of 3 cards to choose from. And once you've summoned them, you can place them on any of the applicable areas in a 3x3 zone. You should be somewhat careful when placing units because moving them later will actually cost you some resources. Speaking of resources, here are your resources: minerals, population, gold, and challenge points. We will discuss challenge points later. Those are not necessarily important for you to understand for your first game. However, minerals, population, and gold are very important. Minerals is what you spend in order to summon units, and gold is what you use in order to purchase them and place them on the field. There are 3 buttons you can use to summon units, costing you 5, 20, and 50 minerals respectively. And the only difference between these buttons is the greater likelihood of finding more rare units. Units will come in a total of 3 rarities, known as rare, super rare, and super rare. It's kind of funny to me how the most common unit is still called rare, but that's just how it is. The more rare the unit, the more it'll cost in gold to purchase once you've summoned it. And if you summon a unit without having the gold to purchase it, you can always come back to the screen later by pressing the R key. As long as you don't summon any more units, it will always be there. So you begin the game with a total of 0 out of 4 population. Rare units take up 1 population, super rare take up 2, and super rare take up 3. The maximum number of population you can have in game is 16. This can, however, be upgraded further with some niche means of doing so, which you might find later. But generally speaking, with a population maxed out completely, you can only have a total of 16. One of my favorite aspects of this game is how the super rare units are not necessarily the best all on their own, because every unit will have corresponding units that it will synergize with, most of the time being lower rarities. The true way to unlock full potential from your build is by actually balancing the correct amount of all the different types of rarities, not by filling your board with as much super rares as possible. You can see all of these synergies on the top right side of your screen when you place units. The other units that will synergize and unlock new abilities will be here and be grayed out. One more important aspect about this synergy area of the UI is that if you simply left-click these hero portraits, it will add that hero to your favorites list. This will notify other players on your team of those heroes that you would like, in case they feel so inclined to purchase them for you while they are rolling for more units themselves. In case not everybody in your team knows about this feature, it's a good idea to take a look around the game and just see what your teammates are using, and keep an eye out for those units. If you roll for new units and nothing comes up that is good for you, before rolling again or just closing the screen, check to see if your teammates would benefit from any of those units. If you do want to share something you have purchased with your team, you can simply open up the gold shop and place the unit or item in the public backpack section. This will automatically send everybody a notification of what was placed in there so they can quickly grab it and upgrade their build. So now let's discuss resource management. The small number above your mineral count is actually the rate at which you're generating minerals every 10 seconds, and this can be upgraded by selecting the Mineral Upgrade button. This button costs a flat amount of gold and will automatically initiate a challenge, which will send out 3 units with a timer that you must kill in order to upgrade your mineral production rate. Every time you select this upgrade, the units will become harder and harder to kill, even moving quite fast in the later stages of the game. If you fail to complete the challenge in the allotted amount of time, you will just have to redo it later, and you have wasted the gold that it costs to start the challenge. Other players are actually able to kill these units for you, but this will only ever happen if your neighboring teammate has built units close to your side of the board, so do not rely on your team to complete these challenges. Only initiate them if you are confident in your own ability to get it done. Upgrading your population is very straightforward. It just costs a flat amount of minerals and a flat amount of gold, and this will always give you +2 to your population. Understanding how much more population you need to place whatever unit you would like to place is important because, for example, if you are maxed out on your available population, say you're 6 out of 6, but you would like to place a new super rare unit, you are actually going to need to upgrade your population twice, or upgrade it once and delete some 1 population unit you have, because super rare units occupy 3 population. So lastly, challenge points. At the bottom right of your screen, you will see 4 different buttons, all initiating a separate challenge, spawning different types of enemies. When killed, these challenges will give you challenge points, as well as some extra benefits, such as flat amounts of minerals, gold, or later difficulties, the ability to choose from powerful artifacts or a high tier item. For these challenges, there actually is no timer, and as long as they die at some point while walking down the map, whoever initiated the challenge will still receive the rewards. However, it's probably not the best idea to just be spamming these buttons, hoping that your team can pick up your slack. They do all go on long cooldowns per each use, and will become increasingly more difficult each time they are used. So the challenge points you get from them can be spent in the challenge points shop, in which you can purchase a few items that basically just buff your towers in some way, for whenever you think you need a little extra help killing some waves. I'll let you figure out the specifics of what these do on your own, but basically, if you ever think you need some more power, like perhaps if you just want to be completely sure that you're going to be able to complete your next mineral upgrade challenge, it's a good idea to purchase some of these yellow bottles and the blue clarity items and use them on your units as they are fighting. So now let's discuss how to make your build more powerful outside of simply placing more units. Firstly, you are able to upgrade every unit in the game all the way from 1 stars to 5 stars. This generally just makes them stronger overall, but there are some cases where occasionally certain units will have some key aspects of their functionality disabled until they reach a certain rank. Upgrading units is very simple. You just have to find the unit again and then use the unit on whatever unit you already have placed on your field. Also, the higher rank a unit is, the more slots they have available to hold items. Ah, yes, items. Items are anything that you might find during the game that are not actually units. These can be dragged onto your units and placed into their inventory in order for them to gain the benefits from them. You can easily see your unit's inventory by simply hovering over them or left-clicking to select them. After left-clicking to select them, however, don't forget to select your main unit, the little chicken courier, afterward, because anything you pick up or purchase while selecting one of your units will actually go into your unit's inventory automatically while they are selected. Be careful in letting this happen and getting confused about where your items are going. So every item has a tooltip in which you can read about what they do and try to make a calculated decision on which unit it would be better to be placed on. And they also have their own tiers as well, all the way up to an incredibly powerful 5-star item. One important thing to note is that all units also have a governing attribute: strength, agility, or intelligence. You can see this by selecting the unit and hovering over their portrait, or by simply looking for the little icon to the left of their health bar. If an item says in the tooltip that it gives plus 50 strength, for example, it's usually best to place this kind of an item on a hero whose governing attribute is strength. Other ways to receive items are by using your gold. You can purchase these different tiers of chests, which will give you random items at certain rarities, or you can wait until it is past round 16, and you can select which of the randomly generated items in the random store you would like to purchase. This store will refresh its inventory automatically every 3 minutes, or you could refresh it instantly for the cost of 60 minerals. Typically, this is only done when you no longer need to spend minerals on upgrading your units. Crafting is also a thing. You can place 3 of the same tier of item, not the same item itself, so basically any total of 3 2-star items, for example, to craft a random new 3-star item. Keep this in mind if you have a few items laying around that you're planning on selling for gold. You might want to just craft it to upgrade them instead. Also, there's a little button to the right of your summoning buttons that is available to be clicked every 90 seconds. This button just gives you gold. Don't forget to hit it when it's available. If somebody notices that yours is available and you're not hitting it, they might make fun of you or something. One more important thing to talk about is the ability for you to move units around the map to help out your team. If you ever notice your friends are struggling, you can left-click, select any of your units, and spend 5 challenge points to teleport them to any available slot anywhere on the map. Make sure you have enough challenge points to bring them back afterward. This can be especially helpful when it's time to kill the final boss of each game, Roshan. Also, don't be afraid to ask for help if you are struggling yourself. Now, before I wrap this video up, I want to discuss something that I think is actually very important to the overall health of a game: the monetization. Interestingly, the same developers who made this game actually created a very similar game in the past called Watcher of Samsara. This game was fun, but was ultimately ruined by pay-to-win features in my opinion. This time around, it seems the developers have learned their lesson, because the pay-to-win features in this game are not nearly as necessary for the average player to participate in. At the bottom left of your screen, you will notice these runes. Each of these will give the entire lobby a huge boost in power for a short amount of time. These are great to use in a pinch if you're about to lose and you want to save the day by destroying all the enemies on the field, for example. In the previous game I mentioned, these were only available to be purchased from a cash shop. In this game, these are available by opening free treasures you will receive just by playing, or by simply just winning games with players who are on a lower difficulty level than you. This is a really interesting way to give higher level players an incentive to play out the lower difficulty games with newer players, because in the end, they will receive some of these powerful runes. Of course, you can purchase this game's battle pass and receive more of these runes more frequently, and other interesting bonuses, which to be honest, I haven't really investigated all that much. But I am happy to say that as a completely free-to-play player so far, I haven't felt the necessity at all to upgrade to the battle pass or use the cash shop. And that's really the correct balance of monetization. It should be that I don't feel compelled to spend money, and I probably will anyways because I'm enjoying the game and I'd like to support the developers. Well, that's really all the basics. The rest you'll just have to figure out yourself. The depth to this game is really incredible. Learning how certain heroes can synergize well together and what items to place on what hero has been so much fun. I hope you try this game out. It's easily been one of my favorite custom games so far, and because it's so new, I believe we will see some pretty great updates to come down the line in the near future. I hope this video was helpful. Thanks for watching.